Hi, my name's Will. This is a short introduction to a video I'm going to present to you on processing an article, this case a PDF, processing the article into my zettelkasten. This particular article by Paul Graham is not a highly technical article, but and it is fairly short, so it fits well into this demonstration. Um, and but the principles that I'm going to be demonstrating and using can be applied in many different situations, both books and articles, and and can apply in a whole variety of different research areas. But we're going to go ahead and I'll demonstrate this all the way from start conception to the final product. Um, I do have a bit of a speech impediment, as you can tell, and I am camera shy. So we're going to deal with that as we proceed. Okay, here we are. We're looking at a mail message. This is a newsletter I get from Farnham Street, Shane Parrish, each week. This is one from 2 weeks ago. In it, there is down here in this area, Explore Your Curiosity, there is this quote here from this article, Good and Bad Procrastination, that really struck me. Um, Procrastination is an area of my current focus of research. So I got this message, click on the link, and sure enough, here we get a copy of the article. And to show you the first steps in my processing of this article, first thing I do is I print the article to a PDF, and I'll save this as a PDF. It is now saved as a PDF on my hard drive, and I can pull it into my PDF marking software, and it'll allow me to mark it up and make notes and read it more thoroughly. Okay, now we're in the software application PDF Expert that I use for reading and marking up PDFs. Now, what I'm going to be demonstrating here, we're going to just see various snapshots at different stages. This has already been done, so I'm kind of reviewing how it's been done. And so we're looking at the raw PDF here, and this software allows me to mark it up and read it. And once I've done that, I'm going to switch now to the final product. This has now just been strictly marked up, just highlighted, excuse me. There are no notes embedded here, although a person could put notes in there. The process that I went through, and this may evolve and it can be different for different PDFs, different times, different books might stop at each to show the extremes, I might stop at each individual idea that captures my attention, stop, and then work in my archive with that particular idea before I move on to the next. In this particular case, I read the article, it's 3 pages, highlighted the areas, and went immediately to processing it in my archive. So there was virtually no time lag between my thinking of these ideas and noticing them and processing them in my archive. So notes would have making notes might have stalled me a little bit and caused me to forget some. And most likely I did forget some of what I was thinking when I highlighted these items, but that's how that turned out. So here we go. This is item all the highlights. This particular software allows me to view the annotation summary. I can export it to Markdown, and we'll save this to our hard drive. And whammo, there it is. I'll basically highlight the entire and copy them to my system buffer. I've now copied them to my system buffer. And here in the next step, we'll actually start with them in our archive. Okay, now we've switched and now we're in the archive. This is where I keep my zettelkasten, and I've imported, just pasted, the annotation summary of good and bad procrastination PDF. This is all of these are purely highlights, purely quoted from the text. I didn't think that the name of the article itself referred to what was most important in the article, in my estimation, in my application. So I changed the title of the note to protect yourself from distraction, which is what I thought mostly the article was about, not the difference between good and bad procrastination. But anyways, that's besides the point. So this is just strictly the start of the note, and it's nothing but highlights. The first thing I add to a note, in this particular case, which come from a PDF, is I'm going to add the PDF actually as a to it. I've copied the PDF into my media directory and can refer to it specifically here for the future. And this is just bookkeeping. So we're now going to switch to looking at how this note looks after I've processed all these annotations. And most of these annotations are used mostly just as triggers to stimulate my thinking that I had when I was reading the entire article, and I can go back to the PDF and review if I have questions, if I didn't highlight enough material in order to keep my idea fresh. Okay, now we've switched to viewing the note as I had immediately, after reading it and marking it up, and was sitting on the couch, relaxed, enjoying my tea, and I just spent time reviewing my highlights and thinking about the note and referring back to the note to get more clarity in my mind as I went through and I processed these. You can see here that the notes are quite a bit different looking. It's my particular habit to block quote any of the highlights that I purely keep. And mostly I'm keeping highlights where I think the language is powerful enough. And I also still make comments. These comments are surrounding the block quotes are referring to the block quote itself, and they help clarify things. And so it's very clear to me what has been quoted and which is my own thoughts. And this is a form that I've developed, or a standard that I've developed and adhere to very strictly, so that I can didn't at first, and I look at some of those early notes and I'm confused about what I wrote and what the author wrote. And here it's very clear to me. We have different sections here. I won't bore you with the reasons why I did all this. Procrastination is maybe not is something in the area of your research or something that you're thinking about. I did want to mention here that this particular section, beautiful language, I'm a writer, and so this is something that I'm always on the outlook for, is beautiful use of language. You can't look a big problem too directly in the eye. You have to approach it somewhat obliquely. You have to adjust the angle just right. You have to be facing the big problem directly enough that you catch some of the excitement radiating from it, but not so much that it paralyzes you. You can tighten the angle once you get going, just as a sailboat can sail closer to the wind once it gets underway. I thought that was beautiful language. But anyways, so this is how the note has been processed. This is what we're going to do next, I should say. What we're going to do next is we're going to look at how I've integrated this into the rest of my zettelkasten, which is a very important step. Okay, now I've set up the archive in a mode I call two-window mode. The window on the right is the target node, the node I'm working on. The window on the left is a working window which allows me to surf around in my archive without losing my focus on the current note that I'm working on. And in this note, I've added some links, both you can see here this link here has been added between these two sentences, so they're it's kind of a general referring to this whole particular idea of procrastination. When I put procrastination in my second window, I get these a list of all the notes in which I've used the procrastination, and I found this particular note, which is an example of a poor way, and this is something that I used to do. So this is me confessing here that I used to just highlight stuff and put it in my archive. It's still there, and eventually I may, and some of these notes from this particular book that I highlighted and put in my archive, some of the notes I have gone back and reprocessed, but others, this particular one, I've not yet done. So you can see the difference between just putting in notes that are highlights and actually processing those highlights and what difference that makes. But anyways, this is something I've put in my archive, and what I'm going to do right now, I think, is I'm going to add a link here to this particular note so that I can get to it later. If I reprocess this, I'll be able to keep these notes the reference back and forth. So that's one I've added here is an interstitial, what I call an interstitial link. This is one that just is linking here in this sentence. So when I process this particular word into my archive, I notice that these particular notes are this particular note, which was talking about we're always solving problems, meeting deadlines, running errands, fulfilling desires, defending opinions, and every implied end to our efforts results itself to be a mirage. And this is something that I thought was very applicable to the small stuff. But anyways, I wanted to show how I put these interstitial links in here, connecting them back and forth to the different notes. And now I have removed the inbox tag, which I was on the original note, which kept this note in front of me because I have this inbox where it would appear, but it's not currently, but that's how that works. So I hope you've enjoyed this tour. There's a lot more I can say about this process, but this is a beginning.